Well, hello again. Welcome to Reviews with Vail, where we'll be discussing my games, not because I'm a narcissist or so good at what I do, but mostly because I want to get better. And I figure I'll get better while posting reviews of my games online. It will hopefully help somebody, and it will certainly help me to do a review. So, one of the main things that we're going to be doing on this um, playlist or this channel, this sub channel, whatever you want to call it, is we're going to be looking at games that I've played recently that will get me to play more games and then review them. And I want to encourage everyone to do that with their own games as well. Uh, Reviewing your own games is probably one of the most powerful ways to improve. And if you have someone who can help you do that, that's even better. But there's there's a saying that when you are watching a game or reviewing a game, you're two stones stronger. And I've actually found that to be true. So if I'm playing a game, there's an inherent pressure in the game that makes you um, doubt yourself and not read as deeply, maybe in some cases. And so when you're kind of backed away from a situation, you're able to look at it more objectively. It's easier to see moves that things you could have done better. So let's take a look at a game. I played this last week on KGS, and I don't think I should have won, but I did. So we'll take a look at what happened. And I have not reviewed this yet. I haven't pre-reviewed it. This will be my first uh, review of this game. So I am white in this game, and my opponent opens up with the Sanrensei, which is good. I actually encourage when I'm teaching people, I try to avoid teaching them Joseki and Fuseki these days. I know it goes contrary to the theme of the YouTube channel, Joseki with Dummies, um, but I kind of explained that in the previous video that I posted, why we started with Joseki. Uh, Really, when just learning how to play Go, it's probably a good idea to just have no set Fuseki or Joseki in mind and just play the board. However, new people, they always want to know what a good strong Fuseki opening is, and so I just recommend that they play Sanrensei because it gives a nice kind of strong position, and the Josekis that come from this are not complicated. We will see some of them in the course of this game. So let's take a look. I approach. He backs off high, which I think is better in this situation than backing off low. Because he's got so much support on the right side of the board, it's good to to back off high like that. It's still totally conceivable and a fine move to play at RF14, but this is fine too. I support my approaching stone. He does the same thing. I back off low because I don't have any support or much support on the left side of the board, and he kind of copies with K4. And then I jump in an AlphaGo-y kind of style. I had a plan for this game. I'm glad he played. After I saw him play Sanrensei, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, having seen something recently in a way to deal with Sanrensei. I think on Sensei's library, but I'll have to check into that. So I wanted to do the AlphaGo style of jumping in, taking his territory away as soon as possible. Normal Joseki. Now, I looked up. This is the what is that called? The Hane and Extend, or something like that down here in the sequence with R3. And I feel like this is still vulnerable, even though AlphaGo tends to stop here with the Joseki and move on. I have lost a lot of. I usually stop here in imitation of AlphaGo. However, I've lost a few times because of that, and I think that the correct um, sequence. Well, I know that the standard correct sequence is this, and then Black has to cover the cut. However, AlphaGo tends to not do that and just leave it there, which I've been experimenting with. And I think it just kind of depends on whether the person wants to take advantage of it or not. Because after a my play here, black can go here at S3, and then this, and then this, and then this, which is fine. But there's another option with there's another option for black where after Tanuki from white, black can play something like this, and I'm not sure how to deal with that. Because this doesn't look good for white. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that from now on, having taken a look at this a little closer, I think that I'm going to, in the future, I'm going to continue to push one more time. That should stabilize the Joseki and not give black too much, because he still has to respond here, right? Black has to, if he does something tricky, I can still come out. So if he plays this move, I can play the Hane. And that seems okay. He will take his corner back, but I'll undercut everything over here. So I think one more play should be good. I'm going to keep doing that from now on. So back to the game. I'm still trying to figure out how to work this Kifu. I play here. Now, the idea with this move was to do an extremely Sente-ish reduction, giving him territory on the fourth line, but basically reducing any potential for a Moyo that he can build out of his Sanrensei. So that's the idea here. I was curious to see how it went. Good move. Takes away the eye space or the chance of a tiger's mouth. I probably could have played better here. I made a lot of sacrifices that I didn't need to make. However, after this sequence, I thought that my center white group had done its job of creating some eye potential and reducing any chance for an enormous Moyo. However, the downside is that I gave black huge territory on the right side of the board, possibly game-ending territory. And so I don't think I will do this again. I think probably what I will do is, that might be the wrong move. I might need to actually jump away here and not promote anything else happening. If he plays a move down here, then that's fine, but it's Gote. That might be the right move, or perhaps after I have extended here and he pushes, maybe not make this big giraffe's head. Maybe make something a little smaller, like the horse head, or just maybe connect. I don't know. This might be good enough. Nevertheless, this is how the game went. And after this, I thought I was pretty much safe, so I took a corner. And I was feeling okay. I think this was a bad move for black. I think that he should have Haned. This is a thank you move, in my opinion. So I said thank you. Then he cut here. I wasn't too concerned about that because I'm treating those stones as just reduction stones and kind of lightly. I'm not trying to kill anything. So his Atari there didn't do much, in my opinion. So I jump into the 3-3. And he blocks me here. Now, yeah, I think this is wrong. I think that he should have blocked at R16. However, that does let me connect, but then he gets to play a large move elsewhere. You'll see here that the normal progression that he makes. I have taken away his corner and limited. Now he's got kind of an open skirt into his large area of territory. And it's not a. I don't know. It was a big loss. It was a big loss. I think that he could have played better. But I'm curious what stronger players have to say about that. He blocks. I'm alive in the corner, so I secure the upper left-hand corner. He captures that stone, and I don't want him to cut and capture everything from my reducing group, so I strengthen it and extend out, and also kind of cap the K4 stone. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not expecting him to get a huge amount of territory at this point on the top because I've got some Aji stones here at K16 and at O17. Here, I think that he gets a lot of forcing moves at the end of the game because I played this move. I think that probably it's better to play S1 here because later in the game you'll see that he does some throw-ins and some tricky stuff, and I have to basically fill in almost the entirety of my bottom right corner. So possibly that's not as good. So I see what he's doing here. He's trying to, I think he ends up doing it, where he's trying to make some territory using his center black stones, the group here. He is attempting to turn this into some money, some cash, by attaching here and cutting. However, I'm making some territory on the side here too, so I thought it was kind of even. And it still gives me forcing moves to be able to push in. I do protect my cut, so he does the best he can, and I try to retain the ability to come into his territory a little bit. But we push a little bit more, and then he thinks it's bigger to go over here. Maybe. You can't kill the corner, really, the cornerstones, so he's just trying to get something on the side so I don't turn the left side into territory, all for me. I have to protect here. If I don't, then when black comes in at C3, or he can slide at D2, then it looks really bad for white's corner. Yeah. He ignores this move. He ignores this move. I think that he should have just gone ahead and responded. It's a lot of territory for white in the upper left-hand corner. Maybe too much. So I think he should have responded. He kicks instead, which I think is bad because it ends kind of pretty gote for black, I think, and solidifies white's corner in a way that I did not expect to get. What I'm thinking now at this point is that now that this is strong, my bottom left corner is strong, I'm looking at attacking his two stones on the left side of the board in a much stronger way. I don't think I'm able to pull that off as well as I expected, though. So this was risky. I think it paid off, but the double Hane, we'll see. Yeah, so that's okay. I like this. I was happy with this because black can't expect to get a ton of territory on the bottom because of my living shape in the bottom right corner. So I was happy to be able to capture this stone, and I'm pretty sure, I feel very confident that my center white group can live. And so I was okay with him pushing around in this area because the shape here is really good. This is a good move, playing on the sector line, except that he doesn't really have a moyo. He's trying to invade, which is fine. It's not like he's building anything really. And I was curious how to respond to this. I felt like maybe this would have been something like this would have been better. I don't know. I think so. I think I should have done this because he can't afford to protect this stone immediately. He needs to protect this group. So if he goes ahead and cuts here, I don't need to worry about these 3 stones because they're connected to this other group for the most part. So I can descend here. And when he decides that he needs to protect, if he decides that he needs to protect these stones, then I can do something severe over here. Maybe that's not the right move, but something in here, and it's looking like this is going to die to me. So because black can't afford to do that, I'm sorry. I don't know. This might have been an overplay, and I just didn't. I should have played stronger, I think. This was a risky move on my part. I wasn't sure about this one because there's a lot of reading involved. And as I said in the previous video, I have not been very good about reading. So I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. But the reason for doing it was that these 2 stones here, they looked strong enough they were connected, right? They seemed like they were connected. So I didn't feel the need to play an empty triangle and connect them together. I went ahead and cut here to separate the stones and to keep these 2 stones separated from this group here. Good, protecting his cut. I wanted to do this right off the bat because he does have a lot of territory here, and I didn't see a way that he could disconnect my white stones in the upper left. He tries. Here I am just trying to get some more forcing moves in his territory. He has a small amount of territory here, and I am trying to reduce that. There's not really much I can do about this territory here, although you'll see I do play the clamp later. So this I was writing off as his. This I've reduced. I felt like I was alive everywhere else, and I just wanted to reduce this as much as possible. This was a Gote move, but I was starting at this point with the strength that he had made here. I was starting to feel like this could get disconnected at this point, because if this is alive, then all he would need to do if I didn't play that move, if I played somewhere else, he could push and cut. And now this group doesn't have any eyes, and it's right in the middle of very strong black groups. So, yeah, I think that was the right move. I think that was correct. Oops. Yeah, here we go. So I played here. It was Gote. There's probably a better move to play that would have connected the group. Maybe h6 instead. I'm not certain. So here's the clamp. Another thing, he should have protected his cut there probably, or protected against this. It doesn't do much damage, but it does reduce one of his largest territories. That made me nervous. When somebody throws in, you start to have to think, wow, did I really make a mistake here? But as it turns out, I did not. I don't think. He has to play at S9 to protect the cut there. And all right, I need your guys' help at this point because I play here, and did I need to? We'll maybe I should throw this up in my other video series about life and death, and we can examine it because I looked and looked at this. This was a timed game on KGS, and so I didn't have a lot of time to examine it. Um, so I played here just out of sheer panic that it could be killed. At this point, it definitely can't, but I was not sure if it was alive otherwise. So, also, another one. I decided at this point to treat these two stones in the middle, uh, N7 and N8, lightly, because it's just a couple of points. And I figured that this move was forcing-ish and bigger. Got to be careful with these monkey jump sequences. It might look connected, but if I miss a move here, then possibly my whole group could die. So you got to play this. This was a stupid move. I should not have done that. I should have found something bigger on the board. It's just forcing him to connect. Also, that's probably more like an end game move there. I don't think there's a way for him to disconnect me. So that was probably a waste as well. And this is why I need to study endgame. And then here we start a sequence where I was just curious if I could get away with something. I'm trying to be tricky. Doesn't work. So I figure I will put a little pressure, take away some ice space. Not so much pressure since that group is definitely alive and connected, but basically just looking to reduce any territory that he could possibly make with his left group. So I thought a lot about this move. That seems like a throwaway move at first. However, if black plays at c16, oops, that's my move. If I play elsewhere and black plays at c16, I was worried that there would be a cascading sequence. If I protect this stone and come out here, I still need one more push here to try to get eye space. But now, I don't know, maybe descend again for black. And if I try to get more eye space, I don't know, is this a thing? This looks like a thing. That might be a thing. Anyway, I wasn't sure. So I connected against it. He does a pretty good job of reducing me here. And then when I start taking some endgame moves, but the endgame moves are not fantastic. We'll be getting better about that later. This, for instance, this is terrible. Yes, he needs to capture, granted, because if this is definitely a forcing move. But then this move is completely gote, and I should not have played it. It's basically a pass move. I was thinking that maybe he would be afraid that I could do something to connect up with these three stones, but that's literally the stupidest idea I've ever had. So he realizes that and starts taking some other actual Sente moves. And I will be pausing. All right, sorry about that. Uber Eats came really quickly. So let's see where we are here. Yeah, at this point I was nervous about a disconnection with my with these three white stones. So I played this. I think that was probably bad. I don't know, maybe not. The reason is because he does this next, which is I ignore it, but it's still, why play that move in the first place? So let me back up. I was thinking that it had a potential to disconnect these stones, or at least that this would have been forcing. And it was, technically, that is a forcing move. But it ends in kind of a bad sequence for me, I think. I don't get anything out of it. I think I could have done better there. I just don't know how. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe start with the Hane. And if he ignores, if he plays elsewhere, then that's, well, yeah, he would have to do that, right? He wouldn't play elsewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what the better result there would be. Maybe just don't play that in the first place. So endgame. This again is where he begins his sequence of reducing my bottom right corner. I end up with very little territory here. You'll notice at this point that if I ignore this, he'll throw in my three stones are in Atari. I have to capture. He'll play here, force me to fill, and then he'll capture the whole group. So reading that out, I have to instead play here. He throws in anyway, which I thought was odd, because I can definitely get two eyes in the bottom right. But anyway, he makes me fill. Pushes. Atari, basic end game. At this point, he moves and then he resigns. So I did a quick calculation on this. It looks like if you remove everything off the board, white's only like 5 to 7 points ahead. So maybe he didn't think he had enough moves, Sente moves, to win the game. But it was really close, and I was pleased with this game, but there was a lot of mistakes that I made. So, yeah, that's my first review. I hope you enjoyed it. I learned a few things looking at it again. And tomorrow I'll be back with some life and death problems. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys.